Well, this says I'm live. I can't. I can't really check. Well, I guess I can. Can I turn this thing around so you can see what I'm up to? I can't really see what's going on. Oh my gosh! I think that'll catch me. Let's see. Yeah, at least on Facebook. Um, I don't know how well you can hear me way back here. I need to click around into this thingy just to see if I can see any. It claims to be streaming to the things, so I guess I'm good to go. All right. And I was going to use some other stuff. I've come to the conclusion I hate streaming with my phone. Call me old fashioned, but hey, Brian, I think the phone aspect ratio, whatever it is, sucks. Now, if you're just doing straight video, and you can turn it on its side, right? That's fine. But this orientation um, sucks. I hate that orientation. So I grabbed one of my not great cameras, but it's fine. But it's got a built-in microphone that doesn't completely suck ass. So that's the one I grabbed um, to try to do this with. But I didn't want to have to set up my whole streaming thing. In fact, I need to go shut my laptop down real quick because I don't need it on for this. Um, and I'm, yeah, at 50% battery. And I had to crank the brightness up so I could see the damn screen. And it's a cheap laptop. But anyways, yeah, I don't necessarily think this is the greatest camera, but it's a wide angle. So it'll capture what kind of chaos I'm up to. So let's turn this around while we're here and point this straight at the window with the sun right in its face. I don't know how that's going to look. We'll see how this camera handles that. Yeah, so anyways, not great, but better than my damned phone in my opinion. I might get really bored with this really quick because the more I look at this workbench, the more I'm thinking, this one can wait. Not this one, that one. So there's some things over there, like, I don't even know, man. Problem is I've got a bunch of crap stacked in front of it that I still got to figure out what to do with. So it's going to make getting to the table kind of difficult. A lot difficult, to be honest. I'm going to go see if I can find my phone stand real quick. I think I know where it's at. Wait a minute, I think it's right here. So I have to sit here and hold it, and I can put it up here. Ta-da! Now I can see my phone. Super duper. So, anyways, so I'm going to readjust this camera to be more focused on this bench. Because like I said, this one over here, all this stuff is in front of it right now. So getting to it is kind of a pain. So I figure I can either completely give up, which is not out of character, but I'd like to get another table cleaned off and some stuff moved over here and set up in a way that it's usable. So currently I have a table saw back here and a router table and a planer. The planer's probably fine where it's at. Um, I probably should have carted it back into the shop this winter, but I did not. But I think it'll be fine. I want to replace that blade anyways, and then I think it's probably, I don't know how the words, because I'm not a woodworker dude anymore. I'm sure I used to know it. The tires on the planer that help pull the material through, I think those need to be replaced too. It tends to struggle on pulling material through. It could be other things, but that's one of the things, right? So I wasn't too worried about that. But anyways, I want to move some stuff back over here onto this table and make better use of this table. Just little things too. So I'm thinking about trying. So the table saw, I can move it if I need to, but the table saw is more roughing out handles for hammers, top tools, and sledges and things like that. So my plan is I would break the boards down with a saw, to make a manageable length that I can use on the table saw, and then rip them down to, rough blanks for handles. And then when I get that done, get them close to what I want, then I could bring it over here to the router table, which I would set up over here somewhere, and then run it through the router table to kind of, I think I have one. Let me go grab one and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Make sure my phone's not going to freak out here. I'll show you what I'm talking about. They're not great examples. Okay, so here is the start of a handle blank. Well, let me grab another one. I just had one. Huh. Not a great example, but again, an example nonetheless. It's not too chilly today. It's in the 50s, but that wind, it is a little chilly. So let me show you what I'm talking about. I've got sawmilled hickory boards that I got, and then what we do is break them down, and then this particular board would be two handles probably pretty easily, or at least a good hammer handle and a top tool handle for sure, but I think there's enough here to get two out of. And then those get ripped down to something a little bit more like this. This was ground. So this needs to go through a planer. Actually, probably needs to be hit with a hand planer first on one side. And then run through the planer because it's all kinds of, I think it's either cut on the bandsaw or ground badly. But anyways, once we get to that stage, I run them through the router table to give me the round over on the handles that I want. And it's usually close enough that it wouldn't take much grinding to clean it up if I needed to do any cleanup. So that's what the router table comes into play. And I've already come up with a plan for using, I've got somewhere, I have what they call a glue line rip blade, I think is what they're called. So it's really thin curved blade. They're made for cutting and ripping something and providing a surface finish and thin curve for gluing things up without having to pass it through. That's for rough woodworking type stuff. But I'm sure I'm getting all these terms mixed up. But anyways, my plan was to have a, I've already got it. I need to um, test it out. But the idea is once I want to have these down to basically um, a dimension, a standardized dimension for the most part. So, and that's only for hammers and sledges. We don't wedge top tools, so the jig will let me to clamp this in there and run it through my table saw in both directions, get a perfectly straight centered cut on the handles as I go. You don't, that is not something you want. I've seen people do it, but that is not something you want to do freehand. Now, on a table saw, you could, I suppose, on the if as long as you have your fence and maybe that little finger doodad, you know, that holds it up against the fence, you could push it in and back it off and flip it and push it in, back it off. That's one way to do it. But I've got a 3D printer, so I was like, well, I could make a little jig for it. And it doesn't have to be, you know, anything too great. It just needs to be able to clamp the wood on there and then be able to slide it through. And it's mostly just to be able to hold it plumb with the jig and centered it over the blade, and also to provide a way of doing that by keeping my fingers away from the blade, because I like my fingers, especially this hand, which is weird because I'm right-handed, but because I play guitar, I value all my fingers, trust me. So, speaking of fingers, you know what's really weird is I have this, God, I forget what it's called, Raynaud's syndrome disease or something, and this finger will get cold. It will turn white when it's cold out. But these fingers will be fine. This one just kind of gets crazy. In fact, it happened earlier. So, yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna start pulling stuff off of here and looking at things and going, what is this? Do I need this? This is an old. Still, it's a useful plastic bin, and I know these fit inside the filing cabinet, so it might be useful in here, and I could probably get. Oh yeah, I could get two of these side by side in there. This one's a little wailed out, or swelled out. But I could get two of these in a filing cabinet, but I'm not going to do that right now. I'm just going to go there with the rest of the junk and the other pile of crap I've got, and just start going through here. Wait, just like this. There's nothing in this. So I'm going to go get. I guess I should go get a trash can. You guys don't have to let me know how the audio is. Like, am I too loud? Not loud enough? Because I can't see any of that. I can't hear it. And like I said, it was a last minute decision on my part to kind of do this with this camera. So I didn't have a good way of testing things out. Hey, my TV in the background, I can actually see now. But I wouldn't be able to see the chat, but I can at least see the video now. That's cool. Of course, there's a tire hammer in the way. We're going to have to do something about that. No. But when I turned that TV on earlier, it wasn't working. I think it was probably cold. It's been out here for a while. But it seems fine now. I can see myself. So there's that. There is that. Yeah, you guys let me know if anybody's around. Let me know. If you're on YouTube or Twitch, I do apologize. I don't have a good way of monitoring the chat. Let me try this. Every time I use my phone for the chat thing just completely sucks. Can I blow this up? Yeah, and this is the other thing, right? If it refreshes or anything, can't see it. It's kind of annoying to say the least. So let's try this. Chat. Was it restream? If I could spell. Let's see if this works. But as I was saying, it doesn't maintain history. So as I just jumped in there, I see nothing. And also because of changes that Facebook has made, it's a pain in the ass to sync the chats. So let me see if I can. Hello? No. Shows there's a whole one person. So let's see if I can come down. You have to go through here and you have to change who can see this thing. Yeah, I don't know why Facebook did that, why they changed it this way. I'm sure some dumbass went and murdered somebody on Facebook or something. I don't know, and they only want your friends to be able to see it. Yeah, when I walk away, you won't be able because the microphones are right there. But can you hear me fine now? Like, so if I'm over here, can you hear me fine? Because if not, I can adjust the volume on that for sure. Yeah, the other thing is it seems like the chat on Facebook doesn't update very well. I have to admit, Facebook is getting to a point where I'm starting to really hate it. Between all the content I give no shits about. Apparently, there's a new trend on Facebook Reels of girls imprinting their asses and boobs in snow. I don't know why that's a thing, but I've been seeing it. And I'm like, what the hell is this? I mean, I'm all for looking at pretty girls, but that's just dumb. Is it some weird fetish or something? I don't know. I'd rather see their boobs and their butts, not imprints of their boobs and their butts. But just me. I'm just a dirty old man. But anyways, there's between that and all the AI bullshit, and then all the political horse shit. I'm just getting done with Facebook, man. I'm just getting so done with it. Anyways, so trying to monitor this chat and any potential YouTube chats. I gotta come up with a better system. Where the hell? Aha, here we go. Channels. So at least on this thing, I can kind of see if anybody's watching. I think. Yeah, so there's at least what's probably a bot on Twitch and a couple of people on Facebook, and I see nothing on YouTube, which is fine. I'm probably cutting into some damn Sunday stream, which I completely forgot about. There's a couple guys that do that. So I try not to stream when those dudes are doing their thing. Just, I don't know, I want to call it professional courtesy, but professional courtesy. I have to open and close. So I'm going to turn this up a little bit once I figure out how to do that. How about that? So I cranked up the gain on the microphone a little bit. Let's see if that doesn't help. And unfortunately, that's going to be about the best I can do. So Brian, when I was talking about the chat thing, right? I had to leave the chat and come back to it to see your comments. I don't know why Facebook does that. It's so strange. Again, just getting to a point where it's starting to piss me off. All right, now here I have a debate on these. One of these bags, they're flimsy as hell. I just don't see this, quote unquote, protecting anything. So I struggle with, do I keep them or not? Part of me wants to keep them, because in theory you could put a strap on these, right? I'm surprised it didn't come with a strap, but if it did, I didn't find it. But you can put straps on these, make it a little easier to carry them, I suppose. But I don't know. I usually just do one or two at a time, anyways. So I don't know. I'm gonna put this right here. 'Cause I got some other bag type things right here. So we'll see. So like here's like random tooling things, right? Like I can tell you right now, I have never used this. Never. This looks like something my wife used at our old house. They would get into these kicks every once in a while and decide it was time to repaint walls for the kids' rooms and stuff. I have never. So, gone. John Dobie. Holy shit. What's up, man? Another thing that I struggle with, do I keep or not? These they come off my toolboxes. They lock the drawers, and you gotta push these things to the side to unlock it and open it. To be honest, I find it irritating as hell. However, if I'm moving the toolboxes, these might be worthwhile hanging on to so the drawers don't just slide open with 100 pounds of tools in them. But I don't know, man. I just don't know. What do I do with them? I just stick them in the filing cabinet? Yes, that's what I want to do with them, at least for right now. Oh, by the way, Columbia made filing cabinets. I did not know that. And this sumbitch is heavy duty. This other one is chintzy as all get out. This is what I would consider probably a more modern filing cabinet. I'm sure it doesn't need to be all that, but it'll hold your files. Yeah, these things don't really fit in here, so I gotta push them down. So I'm gonna get those off this table, out of the way. I have a traditionalist, Rural Smiths of America. This might be useful because they're setting up a smokestack, at least on the front page. I don't know that that's what they're going to be doing in here, but I'm going to look because, I mean, it could be useful. Hoosier Start. What? Oh, that is the state of Indiana's retirement plan. So when I used to work for the state, so I got like $2,000 saved up in my retirement plan. Woo! I was only there for about maybe 2 years. And I knew I wasn't going to stay, so I wasn't putting much money into it. They automatically withdrew something, I think. Or automatically put something in your pension fund. But, so I should call and see if there's a way I can just get that money. Like, hey, give me my money. So there's some interesting drawings in here on foraging some stuff, like, stuff like that. Gary Lehman typically does a lot of these types of drawings. I don't know if he did them all. Terry Fetzi. Damn. So apparently the smokestack stuff is not in here. That's just, hey, false advertisement, guys. So anyways, I do keep these, but this one is kind of ratty. So for right now, like I said, those little bins do fit in here. I'm just going to put this in here for right now. Find a better place for it. This looks like a hold down that I got out of a auction. I don't know what the material is. It could just be mild. I don't know what they typically use for hold downs. Or it could be 4140. I guess I could check it. But regardless, I don't need anything this big for a hold down. I have a table that this would work on. But yeah, I don't have a need for anything that big, so that will get repurposed to something else. That's a mostly empty map tank, so that needs to go that way. So I'm gonna put this for now right here, because that's like a box of junk and trash. I'm probably gonna get rid of this. I don't know. It's dusty as all get out. Let me refresh this damn thing. Oh, I hate you, Facebook. This is a reader for a DRO. It's not a very good DRO in my opinion. I don't think they make these anymore. So I'm going to hold on to this. I have one of the head units. I don't know if they work. I need to check. But why is this not opening? There we go. Already got stuff in there. Put this in there. No, not there. I'll put it here. Yeah. So I'll hold on to that because if I end up not using it, I can eBay it for $50, I bet, or whatever. And look, it's a bucket of random junk. I didn't know those separated. So this is like a conveyor belt that I would put and stuff that under like our keyed anvils or other tools. Stuff like that. Look, random, I know what this came from. So I'm gonna throw this. I got a scrap. I hit everything but the scrap bucket. And a scrap bucket over there. Hey, look, this is, I think this is one of the first ever steak flippers I made. And it's, you pick it up, you drop it, I guess. I don't know what direction these are supposed to be, but I can tell you, I'm pretty sure I'm going to assume this was one of mine, and one of the very first forgings I ever did. I could tell this just by looking at this. It's pretty rough, and the taper is not very small. I ground the end, it looks like, which today I would not have done. Scrap. I've hit everything but the bucket again. These little cut-offs from angle iron, this kind of crap, those are good for, you can cut these in half on my vise, and there's what, 6 potential jigs, mounts for jigs right there. So I'm gonna throw that under my table where random stuff goes for now. Hey, look, I found another flower, Brian. Whoa, that one's old, and I mean it's ugly, but that's gonna go in the scrap pile. See, oh, still missed, but at least I didn't hit everything else. That's a handle for a vise. That might be the handle that I found that doesn't fit anything. Look, a piece of scrap sledgehammer handle. I'm not keeping that. I've got plenty of wood around here. I'm not worried about it. I'm going back to the chat thing. Hey, Paul. Yeah, there's nothing here. So it's not picking up Facebook comments like it used to. Stupid thing. A random piece of round. I have no clue what that is. So well, that's interesting. There's a bar down there about the same size. A very, very first, not the first, but close to it, hammer attempt. I mean, the eye is not bad. it could have been, well, no, I forged here. So, I mean, that could be a small set hammer. It's not square, but I mean, it could be a small set. Just, I kind of look at the eye. It looks like it's hourglass. Yeah, so I could redrift this and have tape, single taper instead of an hourglass shape, and use that as something like a set hammer. That looks like the start of a handle. Needs to be straightened before you do anything with it, really. Not too bad. It's already scarfed and ready to be welded to something. So it's like one of those, there's only 4 pieces though. You twist it and then you just give it a little pressure, down pressure when you untwist it just a little bit. I'll keep that. Maybe I'll do something with it. I don't know. Almost certainly that sucker rod. 3/4 inch. There. I don't know what this is. Trash. More trash. Trash. More trash. There's another hammer billet down in here. It looks like. Hey, Stuart. Oh, now that one is no bueno. So it's not centered, but I can tell by looking down it, it looks like it just ever so slightly slopes. So it's not plumb. One of the problems with forging hammers out of square stock is when you're doing them by hand, is if you're not perfectly plumb, it's hard to correct that, especially as a noob. That's hard to correct. So I'm not going to throw this over there because it's a little too heavy for that. But I will say you could probably fix that. But here's the thing. Is it worth the effort to me to fix? It is not. That's a pretty good leaf if I don't say so myself. It's not perfect, but that's not bad. Oh, can you see that? I'll put it over here so because that wide angle will be hard to see, I'm sure. Just paused or something. What's going on here? So yeah, that's not bad. I can weld this to a bundle, and it would be just another element. So I'm going to hold on to that, and then that's just one less element I have to make. This looks like another one of those. Ooh, that one's bad. I'll show you this. This is a mini tongue blank that I need to probably finish if I wanted to. It needs some course correction, but it's not bad. Looks like I used 3/8, maybe half. I don't know. That's hard saying. Probably half. And this one's shameful. Hey, you got to start somewhere, right? Not everything can be amazing out of the gate. Looks like one of those pot hangers, similar to a squirrel cooker type thing. It's like a friction fit. So I can already tell you on this one, I made 2 mistakes. One, the biggest mistake, in my opinion, is, and this is an easy fix, but you see how one too many, the wraps, there's a little much, but that would work. I know it worked at one point, but here's the other problem is you see, right? And you can see that this should be the top. So I need to heat it up back here somewhere and twist this for this to be up top, which is probably why I didn't do anything with that. I figured I could just make another one real quick. Whoa, That's another beginning forge. See, some of this stuff I want to keep because they're so bad. Because they're so bad that but it illustrates, right? Like, you know, I wouldn't say I was making fantastic work a year after that, but I can guarantee you my work was infinitely better a year after that. Hey, look, that's a piece of Atlantic 33 Flutagon. Paul, you can see, I don't know if you can see it, but it's definitely Flutagon. Hold on to that. That'll make a nice punch or something. Holy smokes. Jesus. Holy smokes. Out of here. Out of here. I'm excited because, Paul, if you're around, Paul Kennedy, he will understand my excitement. Let me get them out. Tone clips. I lose these so much. And it gets frustrating. That's why I don't forge them anymore. Because I would just constantly lose them. So I just got a whole handful there. And really all you got to do is, and I learned this from Brian, as I've learned most things from Brian, to be honest. All you got to do is hammer it on the diamond and size it to about what you need. Now, granted, you're going to be limited to how big these can get, and small. But this size, I think this is inch and a half. Inch and a quarter, inch and a half, somewhere in there. But that size makes for good tongue clips. Obviously, you can step up the size if you need to. I just found a terrible slot opening drift. Yeah, that thing is doo-doo. It's doo-doo. I'm sure it would work. It's thin enough, but I don't like this swell here. Right? So this could potentially, as long as it's not too big, I suppose, it could potentially start making contact with the tops and bottom of a slot. If you're not careful, I would rather that be in line with the material. So that way when I pick it up and look at it, I got a much better idea of what I'm working with. Hey, look, and there's another tongue clip. Oh man, that's a bad. Oh, that's bad for a couple of reasons. Look at the proportions on this bad boy. I was going for a giraffe, apparently. And I knew it was bad because I didn't finish it. But those are the kinds of things, you know, people get discouraged sometimes. To be able to show them this kind of really bad work. You're like, look, man, this is where I was at one point, you know? So this is... There's another bad leaf I'll hold on to. But all this other scrap that I have no intention to... These were cool, that form folded stuff. You know, have you ever done that? So this was folded and upset in a vise to give it that ridge. This is not angle iron. This wasn't well executed, but it's still cool. So again, hanging on to that. Now, I got enough examples of shitty work. I'm not hanging on to any more of it. This I'm holding on to because this is a wedge for holding together a garden bench I forged with Roy Adams in one of his classes years ago. And I need to put that thing back together. So these are all, like I said, I've got enough shitty examples of work. I'm going to call that scrap. Scrap. That's trash. Trash. Look at this. There's a big old chip from the lathe or a drill. So, this tank does not need to be here. It's also going to go in this box down here. Bunch of plastic or rubber gloves or whatever. Nitrile gloves, whatever you want to, what words you want to use. So this is, I'm going to keep this nearby as a little scrap bucket so I can throw stuff in there. There's a guy in my, you know how some Facebook groups have like a community group. There's a guy that has been asking about scrap, and to be honest, I could take it and get a little money for it, I'm sure. In my opinion, it's not worth my time to do that. I would rather do other things. So I have a feeling this dude would be pretty excited if he saw how much actual scrap steel I had to come and get it. So I got some scrap buckets outside. I'm gonna call that dude and be like, hey man, and I got a big scrap bin that I need to also clear out. So he may very well be super excited to hear from me. This is for a 2x72 belt. Housemade, I think, designed these. And these are freely available models on their website. I altered mine, not this one. I altered mine that have two recessed 3/4 inch holes on either side that I can epoxy strong magnets on these, and they hold up really well. I don't know if I have one over here. I do not. No, I do not. Anyways, yeah, so I can hang them off the sides here and hang belts and stuff. I normally keep my belts over here on this wall. You can't see, but it's a hard thing. Plus, it's far away from the grinder. I only keep like newer belts over there. Hey, look, that's I guess it was a 5/8 anchor bolt, or what do they call those, redheads? Wow. Oh my God, Paul Kennedy. We were looking for rivets, pop rivets once, and he said, I know I've seen them. And I was like, I know I have them, but I couldn't, neither one of us could. Found it. So I'm gonna put this right over here on this little rack for right now until I find a better home for it. But at least it's somewhere. That looks suspiciously like, you know, I was about to say that looks suspiciously like a lens cap, but it is not. This is another one of those things where it's like, I don't know what that is, but I don't want to just throw it away just in case. So this I have not used in a while, but it's a lead melting pot. So I'm going to put this in my filing cabinet. If it'll fit. Lucky there. Things I bought that I thought might be kind of fun. And I don't know that I've ever used it. And it was super cheap. I knew it was cheap. Why I bought it because it was cheap was because I wasn't sure I would really do much with it. And lo and behold, I did not. So I don't know really what to do with this thing for the time being, so I'm going to put it up here, up out of the way, so that it falls down and hits somebody in the head later. Looks like a little airline of some sort. Might be good for coolant. So that I'll hang on to, and I'll put that in here. well is this airline. Look at me, already finding more stuff. I knew I had two of these. Battery charger for a Craftsman battery. I have one in the house. Actually, I take that back. I bought one because I couldn't find this damn thing. But I knew it was around here somewhere. So hey, look, now I can have two of these in the house. So I can charge 3 batteries at once now. So this one I might leave in the house in the garage. So I'll put that on this little tote. Just a reminder of things I need to take into the house. I can tell you right now, I have no idea how old this is. So, but just like anything else, it's got a shelf life. Yeah, this is 2 years past its shelf life. So it's not worth keeping, guys. Another little box of, this looks like a, oh, I know what this is. This should go over to the forge. I'm gonna go put this on the forge right now. So it's a air pressure, what's the right word I'm looking for? Air pressure sensing switch. So the idea is that black tube that I just had in there. The idea is you run that tube or something in front of your blower fan, and then connect your solenoid to this for your gas line. So if the fan ever dies, it cuts power to the gas. So if you're using a forced air forge like a ribbon burner, these things can be invaluable. I never put it on there because I need to since I found it. But I never put it on there because I never just let I'm not never, always at that forge. Let me see those McCullochs before I got to go. What are you talking about? Chainsaws? Look at this. I mean, I don't know if these are the ones though. Looks like it. Is that what you're talking about, John? I do not know. I don't know if I got these in an auction. I don't know if I've ever tried to fire one up. Yeah, I think they are McCullochs. I have a couple more somewhere. I think I got in the same auction, but I think these were the two that I never got around to testing. My dad, it's kind of funny, I bought a steel, what do they call that thing, Bushmaster or something? Anyways, my dad came over about a year after we bought this place and said, hey, you need a chainsaw. And he'd used it one time, I think. And it was the same exact saw that I had bought. So now I've got two, the same saw. But yeah, well, I'm glad you pointed that out because these aren't going to live down there anymore anyways. This one, I'm sure that's an easy enough fix. This one, the brake or whatever has been broken off. I will tell you, I'm not a chainsaw guy. And I used to be fearful of those big, ginormous bad boys. But watching enough videos, it's these little dudes that scare me the most. Because a big saw, by the time, when you engage that bad boy and you're running it, it's like by the time it creeps up, a big boy, you've already disengaged that thing. These little dudes, they can go way back. And I was like, whoa. Now, granted, you got to choose your battles, right? And use the appropriate saw for what you're doing. But yeah, I don't know if there's a way to tell. Looks like there should be a cover here for the carburetor, and put a filter on there. I bet you can find those parts somewhere. This one is a 6016C, whatever that means, and then I don't know that the serial number tells you anything about the year. I'm sure there's some super nerds out there though that we can look it up. It just seems like there should be something covering this carburetor. Or am I just imagining things? Oh, I see. Never mind. It's the choke. It looks like. But yeah, it still seems like there should be something over that. I'm sure it'll run fine, but I don't know. I don't know shit about chainsaws, dude. They were $25 in an auction or something like that. And I was like, well, even if they're not good, I might be able to pawn them off onto somebody that wants to fix them. Or I might get a functional chainsaw out of them. But I've never checked. So I'm going to go put this over there because I'm going to put these somewhere else. Anyways. Alrighty. I just realized, you're probably already gone, but I just realized I didn't actually probably show this. I really can't see myself, but yeah, it's a little guy. I don't know, like I said, I don't know anything about these things. Oh, there is some wording here. Let me see if I got a rag, just to make sure it's not some other rando thing and I'm telling you bullshit. But I feel like I remember the auction saying that's what they were. Yeah, I can see it right there. It's covered in oil. The sticker. So yeah, it is a Mac 110. McCulloch Mac 110. I don't know. I don't see a date though. Yeah. How well you can see that, or if you even can. There you go. Rob has lots of random dumb shit. I should probably, when it warms up a little bit, see if I can fire that thing up. Oh, the comment sections. Hey, Jamie, Greg. No. Okay. Anyways, I'm gonna go back to this thing. So, okay, we're at. Well, you probably can't see it. You wouldn't be able to see it very well. This finger's getting cold. The thing I was telling you about earlier, it's like, I want to say it's like Raynaud's syndrome or disease or something, where you have like an extremity that will get cold and turn white and stuff. That this finger does that, and it only started a couple years ago, maybe a year ago is when I really noticed it. If the whole hand did that, it would make more sense to me. With the finger, like, come on. I kind of hate these. But they're also kind of handy, so I'm gonna Gotta hang on to it for right now. This is a universal repair kit for a tent, it would seem. Again, sometimes you bid on something in an auction and you get the most random things. And I've never bought one of these on purpose that I can recall. And just looking at this little tag hanger thing, it kind of indicates to me this is pretty old. I don't know. I would assume it's still good because it's been in here, but I don't know. In the box of junk it goes. Here's another. I bought with great intentions and have never actually used. It's a food saver, vacuum sealing doodad. I bought this several years ago because we were going fishing a lot. And I thought it would be handy to vacuum seal and freeze some of the fish because we were getting an overabundance of fish. But I'm going to take this into the house, into the garage, and maybe I'll actually use the damn thing because it doesn't belong out here. Another one of those things. This is Fuchs punch lube. I forget about these things because they're not where I really should be keeping it. So I'm going to move this over to the forge area. This stuff's expensive. But now I'm going to put it on one of my material racks that doesn't have anything on it. You can make a tiny axe out of that. Some people are into that. I'm not one of them. Put this in here out of the way. So I've got I didn't really choose this location wisely. Right in the window when I get sun almost all day. So really, I'm more interested in not the hose. These are big old school Victor regulators. And they came out of a functional shop. So I was more interested in the regulators than the hoses. The hoses look kind of shot to me. Some dry rot on the outsides. The lenses on at least this one are really scratched up. But that's a Victor too. So these are old school Victor. This one's a really old school one. I bet you these things still work great. So I'm going to move this to my cart. Oh shit. No, not because the cart. Oh shit is full. But these hoses I got out of that auction, to be honest, I don't think trying to use an ancient clapped out hose is really worth the risk. Take it easy, John. I don't think it's worth the risk. So I will likely go over. This one looks okay. So this hose I might hang on to. So this one looks fun. I don't see any, cracking around the outsides or anything. I see some kind of weird joining piece right there. So again, in my opinion, it's not worth the risk. I would feel better about just buying a new hose. Actually, the hose that's on mine now is fine. But I would feel better about buying a new hose than using some old clapped out hoses. I just don't think it's worth the risk. Your mileage may vary. Here's another big old regulator. This one, both lens cover thingies or what gauge covers are off of it, and this one's bent up pretty bad. Airco regulator. And you can replace the gauges. I don't know anything about airco regulators. It doesn't, I can tell you right now, just looking at it, it doesn't look nearly as nice as the Victors in terms of, oh man, look at that. So that sheathing is already coming apart. So again, this is another one of those hoses. I just don't think it's worth keeping. Get that out of here. Just there's no need to keep that. Some cordage. This is I fear pulling this blanket back. Make sure no coons come flying out of there. All right, that's just a moving blanket. I bought a bunch of these when we moved, and to be honest, there's no need to keep it. And they're stupid cheap anyways. Oh, Brian, Ed. I'll hold on to these in case Brian comes back out. These are welding curtains. There's a pretty, Ed probably doesn't think so, but there's a pretty amusing story to that. Yeah, I've got some more of those around here somewhere. I probably should put in this bin and put these up somewhere. So I'm gonna move. I think I saw one of those back here. So I'm gonna move this whole thing back. Yeah. Those are practically brand new. They were used for about a month, and then I took them down. And then I've got a sheet of, can't tell if that's aluminum or, no, 5052. Yeah, that's aluminum, isn't it? 5052 is aluminum, right? I don't know that it's big enough to make a TV tray tabletop. It might be a smaller one. So doesn't belong where it's at. That's for certain. Okay, this I want to keep and put on my workbench, maybe. Or I've got one of those shelf things, you know. They're about mounting the shelf up top. And this is a JBL speaker system that I used for my TV when I lived in a different house, and it was in the garage. It was a great system. I just realized I'm hungry. What did I do with that rag? Anyways, I'll go get a rag. So wipe this thing off with. It's a great sounding little speaker set for like your front speakers or whatever. Your center speakers with some bird poop on it. So I'm gonna put this over on that workbench. Oh, maybe not. I got this thing, I think from a buddy years ago. There's something in here. I think mice have been living in this thing. I can hear only what I can describe as maybe poop. But I'm not seeing anything come out. So it's in there good. So they can crawl into that. Years of dust maybe, I don't know. Anyways, I don't see that this top driver has got a dent in it, so it's probably not going to sound very good anymore. I can take it apart and look. I don't know if that's worth the effort. And this thing is probably 20 years old. Probably 20 years old. And I can probably find a replacement relatively inexpensively. So in the meantime, it is going to live on the workbench until I can get, I got one of those shelves, you know, I'm going to mount up top, and I might just put it up there, or just put it on top of the cabinet over there, out of the way. Ooh, need that brush. Let me grab that brush. Aha! I would tell you that this is my first ever grinder, but that would be completely untrue. This is my second ever grinder. I thought I was upgrading, let me tell you. And for what it was, it's fine. And for doing small things, I'm sure it's great, little guy. But that sanding disc right there is pretty handy. Brush this thing off. Oh man, all the dust. All the cobwebs. All the dust. But yeah, this little grinder, I mean, it wasn't bad, but as soon as you run a 2x72, you ask yourself, why have you been playing with this dumb thing? So that's the only reason I really kept it, and I think it might be useful for doing handles and such with. Also because this belt, I can get the wedge slot in here pretty easily, and the belts aren't too big, so it'll let me clean that up a little bit. I'm not trying to get this super clean. I'm not too worried about that. What I am worried about though is, where do I put this? So I think I'm going to leave it up here, but the current orientation is fine, but this, I don't know. And honestly, and it's current for what I'm using this stuff for, right? That's not a bad spot either. Think about it, right? So I'm using this mostly for like, either if I wanted to cut tapers here, I could cut tapers here, or slots, even if I wanted to do that, you know? So I've got plenty of room to do that on this saw. Same here. I can come in, I can show you with this, right? You know, I could come in and get that a little bit, boom, boom, boom. If I wanted to do, you know, I could just run it through. Now I've got a 2x72. If I need to do some serious work, that's where I would do that. But I think this location for both of these tools, they're usable for what I would use them for in their current location. So, I think I'm going to leave those alone. The only thing I need to look at on this, I don't know if there's, I don't think there is. I need to come up with a way, what I might do, pull back a hair. And this has got the ability to mount it. Yeah, this has got holes for mounting too. So I might drill this to mount these so they're a little bit more stationary once I decide where I want them. And in this dust collection port, I don't know if it has one. Yeah, it does down here. So that's the only thing is I would want to be able to get to the dust collection ports if they have them. I don't think this does. That way I can hook up some dust collection to these and be able to utilize it that way. Now I'm gonna go grab my router table and bring it over here because I want it on this table too. Because this is kind of like what I'm envisioning this area. This area is where I will finish up handles for hammers, and I'll probably even, I might drag one of my striking anvils over here so I don't have to go back and forth so much, you know, when I'm driving the handle on. So yeah, no, I will not do that because I thought I would be able to slide it under there, but I would not be able to, so I won't do that. I'll just keep what I've got, an anvil right there I can use, so it's not that big of a walk. Not like I'm losing heat or anything. So anyways, hey guys, look, another table mostly cleaned off. There's a shelf under here that I can utilize. I got a Champion blower under here I need to get rebuilt or rebuild and take the time to do it. Yeah. So, you know, Champion blower down there. I need to work on rebuilding. So I'm gonna go grab that router table. Where's the cord? Okay. Okay. I can't see where I'm going. I'll get this up here and figure out where I want it to be. Okay. So I'm thinking, initially, thinking like this. And then I'll mount it or whatever. Why are you not tightening up? There you go. This does not fit there. It doesn't. Didn't look like it did. It does not fit that. So, I can make one of those. I've got, excuse me. You can 3D print those little tools, by the way. I printed this one. And it will allow me to, I just need the T-slot, tighten it up. Hell, I could 3D print that too. But what I really want to check is, and I think this is a bigger piece than I would actually use. So you'd set your finger. The idea is just to keep it tight against the fence. So as you're running through it, can I get, so that's not gone, well that could work. That could work. Or I can turn it this way and run it that way, which I think I'm gonna do. So I think this way would make more ergonomic sense. So now, I could come in and pass my piece through. You know? Yeah. Yeah. I think that's what I'm gonna do. This even seems backwards. Should be this way. Yeah. Anyways, so I think that's a good enough spot for this. But now I've got this space back here that I need to. What I'll probably do is make a shelf of some sort or something that goes back here so I can keep my router bits and such back here with this thing. I ordered a kit of router bits that I thought would be useful. That I used to have a bunch of those and I can't find them. So as soon as that gets here, I'm sure I'll find those. But I think this is, I'm not going to mount anything until I've used it a couple times and decided that's where I want it. But this is really, I kind of quote unquote, yeah, I kind of made this top, I think. I can't remember now. No, I did not. But anyways, it's really thin material. It's not anything that you would use in a forging situation at all. It's too thin for that. And honestly, other than just like, you know, quickly welding up small parts, it's not even ideal for that because there's no way that thing's flat. And even if it starts getting hot, it's going to start to distort on you. But for this, it's probably fine. So yeah, what I'll probably do is keep this as best I can like this. And then there's room back here that I can have my hoses for dust control. And honestly, now I'm looking at it, this would probably make more sense. Hold back a little bit more. Dang. So that could probably come back more. Right about there. See how not stable that is? It's not the base. Almost guaranteed it's the table. On something. Can't tell. But guaranteed it's the table. But that's enough. I'm not really ever going all the way through on the bandsaw. Even if I were, I could still pull this all the way up and still be able to get that much through for sure without any issues. And if I pull this back, which I might just do, yeah. So I can get to the airport, suction port thingy on that, dust collection port. I'll be able to get to this one. So I could run, quote unquote, static line back here that's always connected, and then have a port back here where I just hook up the shop vac or the dust collector hose and it grabs all this. What I'll do is run something under the table that mounts here up and pull, you know, it sucks down. This is only for wood stuff. it somewhat clean. I might even do a split and have something here to grab some of this. It'll probably need to be over here some more because it turns that way, so it's going to be throwing the grinding dust down, I think. But yeah, so I can right now. So yeah, I can get this all the way through. I'm off the bit at that point. I can get all the way through, and I'm not hitting. Well, other than the crap that I've stacked up here, but I'm not hitting anything. No tools are in the way, and it's got enough height to clear this table. So it would have to be a pretty long board before I ran into this, and a hammer handle would be thinner than this anyways, and it wouldn't hit that. And that's primarily what this is all for. Now, this might change because I'm really thinking about adding a small bench top joiner to this setup, but we'll see how that goes. I don't know that it's necessary, but I figure, you know, if I got all the other little things, you know, if it makes some stuff a little easier, because, you know, with a joiner, I can run this face through and get it nice and flat, and then run it through my planer and make these parallel to one another. You know, there's other ways to do that. I don't have a joiner, but that's just one less step I would have to take. So it might be one of those things where I mount it here and push this back a little ways, because as long as I'm here, I can get to do what I need to do. And then because I like my fingers, I use a, what is that thing called? A Smitey grip or something like that. Push block. I like this for my table saw. This one's too big for the router table and too big for this size handles. But I got a smaller one. I bought. But yeah, so it kind of lets you can adjust this one too, but it lets you run it like such. So, but I got one coming for that. And same with the joiner, you can use the smaller one on the joiner. So if I end up getting a joiner, that would allow me to push this back a little ways and put the joiner here, because it's only going to be about the same size, probably smaller. And only, 6 inches, maybe 4 inches, however big they are. And I don't need it. Like I said, I'm using it for handles and such. Maybe small woodworking projects, but I'm not trying to do a full-fledged woodworking shop out here. I say that now. We'll check in 5 years and see what the hell I've done since then. But there we go. One workbench cleaned off and set up to be used for the most part. Now this one back here, what in the world? .9mm Luger. Huh. I get all this. I got 2 boxes, 200 rounds of this. One completely unopened. 20 cartridges. 5.56 by 45. How is this even open? Oh, okay. Steve Schubert. I'm gonna guess that's where these came from. There's 5.56. I assume that's 5.56 as well. So these things should probably go in the house. I don't know what this is. It's another one of those. This is the solenoid that goes with that. So you wire this into that pressure sensor, and your gas lines come in off this. So that way, if it doesn't detect pressure, it kills this. So I'm going to keep all of that together. Here's stuff I can tell you. I know somebody that might want to use this. Take this. This is my first fish finder for my kayak. It's got the transducer down there. It's got the display. This was fine for kayak, but I ended up. I can't remember what happened, but I ended up with a second transducer for an HDS, which is what I had on my big boat. So I just ended up using my big HDS on my kayak and replaced this with that. So I know a couple of people this could go to. We'll see. I'm going to refresh my chat thing because Facebook's dumb. What time is it? 1:30. No wonder I'm hungry. But yeah, we got, I'm going to put, for now, nope, not now. Down there. I'm going to get all these pew-pew guys, put them up here for right now. So I don't forget them. Okay, what is this? It's filthy is what it is. That much I can tell you. Again, I make no bones about it. I'm a slob, guys. I'm a slob. I'm trying. And the problem is, once it starts getting to a certain point, it becomes kind of overwhelming to deal with. And then this is something I do in my professional life. I always tell people, don't try to boil the ocean. It's an iterative process. Fast, small wins turn into big wins. And I thought to myself one day, I was sitting out here, I was like, why am I not applying that to cleaning up the shop? I don't have to clean the whole thing up in one day. And that's just not possible anyways. But one thing at a time. So I cleaned up that workbench back there the other day. Now we've attacked this one. I would have gone for this one first. It's a twofold problem. There's a bunch of stuff in the way that I've got to figure out what to do with. So this is going to be the next project. Is this section right here. And figure out what to do with this crap. So I can get to this workbench. But as I go, I'm freeing up space that will allow me to do other things. So this is dusty. Woo! This is documentation for my boat, it looks like. Yep, this is all tracker stuff. This is the Lowrance. This is the documentation for that fish finder that I just pulled out. I'm going to put that with it. That's tracker stuff. I don't know what that is. Where they at? Standard housing actuators. Huh? Let's go to a stove or something? Lawnmower instruction manual. It's just random. It's just random documentation. Some of it I'll keep. Stuff from my boat I'll keep. And then the rest needs to go away. This needs to go in here with this guy. Abrasive for chop saws. I don't know what it looks like. Maybe 7/8 arbor size, 3/4 inch. It says 20 millimeter, whatever that comes out to. Are they all like that? 20 mil. And it's so strange to see 14 inch by 5/32 by 20 millimeter. What? Same. I'm gonna guess these are all the same as why they're all sitting there. Same. 20 mil. I mean, some of these are nice. These Ferds, and then there's Metabo. 20 millimeter. Man, they put that in a weird place to go digging for it. So that's 20 millimeter. Now that I know where it's at. 20 millimeter. Of course, it's upside down. So now I have to assume they're all 20 mil. And 20 mil. Okay. Whoop. Alright, I'm gonna go put these somewhere else. But I don't know where. Right now. Right there. I already know what that is. You can tell by looking at it. I should probably use these. My aim ain't what it used to be. And honestly, I mean, I can hit a target, but I'm not great with a pistol. I mean, like, if you watch guys like Phil Custer and Andrew Larson with their pistol shooting craziness that they go through and do, I ain't doing none of that. I can hit a target. I can probably hit accurately at 50 yards with a pistol with plain sights. I've always been a better rifle shooter than a pistol shooter. I think, I don't know. That's just what I grew up with, was shooting rifles as a kid, not pistols. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I can hit anything. But if I hit it to point to practice, feels like anything else, right? If you practice, you get better at it. Woodworking stuff. I can see two things I can grab right now. Wow, if I get to them. couple of the tools I did keep from my woodworking days. These are handy as hell. They are square clamps, so you clamp two pieces in and it'll hold them square to one another. These were handy as hell. Who made these? I don't remember. I'll have to look. Sumo Grip. I should see if I can still get these and get two more, and they'd be far more handy. See, Brian? So I'm going to put these down here, along with try to keep all my woodworking stuff in the same general location. So I'm not like, hey, where's my woodworking stuff? I have no idea what this is. It's kind of jig. Woodworkers' best jigs and techniques. This is a notebook of some sort that I have never used. That's funny, another clear object thing. This is from a company I used to work for years ago now, but that's still a handy little notebook, it looks like. I think you can write stuff down in. Yeah, I'd never use this. I'm not, like at work, I'm not a big note taker. I do take notes from time to time, but it's just not a thing that I do a lot of. But yeah, so I'll hold on to that. I'll keep that over on my other workbench. Okay, I think I've got enough done over here. Let me look at this. Oh, that's like a little handy woodworker's doodad. All right. I'm gonna put that in the filing cabinet. Right. Why is this one so hard to open? Until I find a better home for it. It'll probably sit there for 5 years. Like I said, I can't really get to this stuff very well, so it's just going to be limited to what I can do back here. But stuff I can reach, I'm going to try to. Like this. What? Oh, look at there. ITC 100. So that's great stuff to line a gas forge with as a final coat. So that'll, next time I redo my gas forge, I'll break that stuff out. It's just some wire. I have no idea what that is. Voltage, contact voltage regulator with some fuses. Some cut-off wheels and a radial rag. It's got some kind of turdage on it. So that's all trash. I think it's turdage or larvae of some sort. I don't know. I'm not interested in hanging out with it. I have been several times now thinking I need to go buy one of those big saran wrap roll things for some packing of stuff. I just found it. I don't know what all is in here. Carpenter matched tool and die steels. What? Stentor. I've never even heard of that. Are these like their brand names? Hampden. Speedstar. Four Star. Solar Alloy. Carpenter Specialty Alloys. This had to have come out of an auction. I'll throw that up here. Anyways, that's about all I can get to from here without having to move a bunch of junk out of the way. I got other junk I got to move out of the way to get that junk out of the way. So that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to turn this around a bit, and I'm going to go get something to eat, and then I'm going to try to forage for a little bit. At some point, I'm going to stop this. If I can remember how. It says I'm still live. That can't be right.